Hey, what's up everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Alright, keep your eyes open for the Golden State Warriors to possibly make a move of some sort. Don't know what's going to happen. Not saying that I'm sure. But Andrew Wiggins, essentially, is refusing to take the vaccination at this time. Now, will he be willing to take it going forward? Reports have said they're confident that he probably will consider taking it going forward in order to keep from having it being a problem for the Golden State Warriors as a team. But to be honest with you, I'm hearing murmurs about him possibly being on the move. Now, knowing that Ben Simmons is out there and so is John Wall, keep your eyes open for either one of those contracts to be involved in a trade for Wiggins because if, quite frankly, the numbers match. Now, do I think that Andrew Wiggins would be a good trade straight up for Ben Simmons if I'm to say the Philadelphia 76ers? I would not, but he would be a good fit for what it is that they do. I would ask for a lot more, honestly, if I'm Philly. And I'd probably expect to get maybe a Kuminga or Moody to go along with it, and maybe we could start talking. But if I'm Philly, I still think I have more leverage than that to take Andrew Wiggins. So, that's equivalent to the taking maybe Beasley, in my opinion, from Minnesota as well. Ironically, obviously, because Wiggins spent most of his time in Minnesota. But, to me, I think at the end of the day, looking at Andrew Wiggins' situation, because his contract is as it is, he probably isn't someone that people are just knocking down doors trying to get to. Could he help a lot of teams? Yeah, there are a couple teams around this league that I think should be looking to maybe consider bringing him in. At the small forward shooting guard position, he can help some squads. I'm thinking about a team like possibly New York, Boston, Miami. Although Boston doesn't really have the money for that. I don't think any of these teams have the money for this, to be honest with you. But they do some willing and dealing. Maybe they can fit him in there, get rid of a contract or two. I don't know. In regards to Boston, who I would be willing to give up, I don't think anybody, to be honest with you. But to bring in Andrew Wiggins, you'd consider. So, there's some things that could be done. Like I said, John Wall is the contract that kind of sticks out for me. If they're not going to make the move for Simmons, obviously Wall has his trade request in place. Now, him going to Golden State is a weird fit. I'm not going to lie. He would have to come off the bench, and that's a lot of money coming off your bench. But all in all, there are sequences where he can play some two. Of course, you would consider trying to start him at two just off the sake of his name. But at the end of the day, Clay's going to be coming back mid-season. I would expect them to move him before then, as to which I'm not sure they would be able to get a deal they would like. So bringing in John Wall for the Golden State Warriors as a rental on that contract is a heck of a risk, given that they don't need what he is. So I would incline to believe that they would probably pass on John Wall. Now, we know that Ben Simmons is somebody they've considered bringing in. Obviously, if they can bring him in without giving up Draymond Green, it would raise some questions about whether or not they would be able to fit with one another. I think that would be something they would work out because Ben Simmons is such a phenomenal defender to where you would just put him in positions to do what it is that he does. Again, of course, he ain't going to shoot, but who needs him to shoot if you got Clay and Steph? Thing is, you would have to give up a lot more than Wiggins in order to make that happen. Of course, I don't even know necessarily if the numbers directly match. I would have to take a look at that, but they would like I said, have to include a Moody or maybe even a Jonathan Kuminga, as to which I wouldn't be willing to do that. Involve a third team, a lot of things can open up for you, so I would expect that to be the route. As to which this could be all over the place. I could see as many as 8, 9 teams trying to get involved just to see what they can get out of the situation, a second-round pick, move a bad contract or something. When monumental pieces get moved, usually there's a couple of teams involved. So 8 is an exaggeration, but I do expect this to be a pretty big trade. So that the pieces going where they need to go make sense, because of Beasley for Wiggins, or not Beasley for Wiggins, but Beasley for Simmons or something like that, it just doesn't make sense. Wiggins for Wall, it really ultimately doesn't make sense for where these landing places would be for these players. So a couple of added teams would make all that make sense. Now, going forward, I think John Wall would love to be in a situation where he's going to be winning. So Golden State Warriors would give him a short-term opportunity to maybe be a part of something. But again, I would think they would trade him at the deadline. So, yeah, I just don't know. But I'm not going to lie to you. Because John Wall is so good defensively and because you need to hide Steph Curry, Klay Thompson can play the 3, of course. The rest of those players can swap around, move around. There is room to play John Wall on that team at his 30-minute mark. I can see it. You just have to rotate him. Between the 1 when Steph sits down, the 2 before Klay gets back, and then moving Klay to the 3 and just kind of like, You know what I mean? Because of who they would have to give up in a trade, they'd likely have Toscano Anderson be somebody they rotate a lot to make all that make sense. But John Wall is a really good defender. So the more I think about it, the more I would say that's an interesting experiment. You would just have to have John Wall be on board with his role. It's going to be kind of crazy. But, for the best value for Andrew Wiggins out there, it may be John Wall. And considering the type of fit that Ben Simmons is questionable in regards to Golden State because that fit is questionable, I may be more inclined to get John Wall if I'm the Golden State Warriors. To be completely honest with you, it might cost you a little less to get him too. So we'll see, man. Daryl Morey's dragging his feet over there in Philly. I'll tell you that. With Andrew Wiggins possibly being on the trade deadline, that opens up some situations potentially, but it can also close some doors for him as well if he doesn't hurry up and commit to trading this kid. Now they may very well not, as far as that Philly Simmons situation, they may very well just let this thing drag out. But I'm inclined to believe that they're ultimately just going to be the adults in the room and just try to wipe their hands with the situation. Going down this road with this kid is just, Jay-Z said it best, man. Something along the lines of, two stupid people are arguing. If people from a distance can't tell who's who, I know I butchered the line, but the sentiment is the same, You don't want to be caught up in an argument, a petty argument, because your position is not his position. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, he's a player. You're an organization, $1 billion one at that. So you got different eyes on you. The same eyes, but they're looking at you and expecting different things from you than they would expect from the kid. So don't partake in that madness, in my opinion. Now, some people are saying the other way around is best because you can't set the precedent that allows a child, and he's acting like a child, so I call him one in this situation, allows a child to dictate the situation when he just signed a contract for 4 years. That can raise a lot of problems going forward, especially when come negotiation times for all those guys and the players union and all that. That could be a bit of a mess. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's probably best to not set that example in this situation because Ben Simmons obviously has something going on up here, and if it turns out it's worse than we think, Philly looks even worse for not knowing about it and doing this in this process, or even worse, knowing about it and doing this in this process. I think the chances of this being something serious could be pretty decent. So I would caution Philadelphia not to look like the big bullies in this situation. Let that kid go through his progressions. Let him get out of that environment that's toxic for him. Be human in this situation and understand that he has a legitimate gripe in his head. Whether it makes sense to your mature mind or not, he's going through it. Let him go through it and get him out of there. And it'll probably save you more money in the long run, in my humble opinion. So, I know this is about Wiggins, but Wiggins doesn't have any problems. At the end of the day, we're not certainly even want to trade Wiggins. But if Ben Simmons or Wall is possibly on the move, Wiggins matches. So that makes sense. At the end of the day, if Wiggins takes the shot, it shouldn't be an issue. It starts with the Golden State Warriors and plays a great season. That's what I expect to happen. I don't know what he's been saying. I know he's been very defiant, according to the media, in regards to what he feels about taking this thing and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, he's only hurting his team and himself. And I think at the end of the day also, they're kind of backing people into a corner. You don't really have a choice. You can kind of tell people you're not going to take it, but then they're going to shut off every avenue you try to get to until you take it. That's basically what it's going to be. You can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, you can't do that. So you're going to buckle down and take the shot just to be able to move around. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in your house just like it's a quarantine time again. So that's where the world's headed. I know that, particularly in this country. So, it gets to a point where you just have to accept it, to be completely honest with you, or accept the losses that come with it, which may mean your career if you're Andrew Wiggins. So be ready. That's all I would tell him. And that's what I got, man. I'm going to go handle some business today and enjoy the rest of this Saturday. If some news pops up, I'll be in your face. Probably take a day off or two from my project in terms of giving you the rosters of every team. But I got about, I'd say, 8 more teams left, and I have intentions of getting that done. So check out the old videos if you like them. Laugh at some of my misspeaking and all of that, and learn about your favorite teams as well, because I did some due diligence and tried to give you the best I could. So that's what I got. Name's BDL44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.